Hi all, today we will discuss about Docker and Kubernetes. So what is the common difference from Docker and Kubernetes? So when to use Docker and when to use Kubernetes? So what are the some differences there? So Docker is just a container which will be run on runtime, and Kubernetes is a platform where we are running and managing the container. Like what? Platform for running and managing the container. So Docker is a container and Kubernetes which will be used to manage the container. So this is the difference when to use like a Docker and Kubernetes. So if we'll go for the primary function, so Dockers have a platform for containerizing applications, but Kubernetes is a orchestration tools for managing container. So this is used for the managing container. And scaling functions, if we'll check scaling, so the Docker have basic scaling with the Docker swarm, and manual scaling often required. But here in Kubernetes we have automatic scaling based on this application demand. So if users demands will be there in the particular application, so Docker's Kubernetes will automatically do the scaling and all. And if you'll go for the networking difference, then Dockers will have all the container on a single network by default. But in Kubernetes provide complex network setup and support network policy. And storage also we have. So in the storage, if you'll go for this Docker, so support volume but less flexible. But here support wide range of volume of a storage solution with the storage solutions and all. So in all things we have like Kubernetes have much difference in there compared to Dockers and all. But fault tolerance, if you check here, provide restart policy but less robust. But here in this Kubernetes we have a replace failed container automatically. So whatever the failed containers will be there, that will be replaced by automatically by using Kubernetes. So if you go for the user interface, so in the user interface has Docker has user-friendly GUI like a Docker dashboard, but no default GUI but can be integrated with the third-party tool. In Kubernetes we don't have any GUI has been provided, but if you want you can go for the third-party where you can integrate your Kubernetes things and see the details. Portability coming for this use case, so best for single container. Docker is used for best for single container and similar deployment. Sorry, single container and a smaller deployment. But in if you go for the Kubernetes, so designed for managing large cluster in production. So we can go for the Kubernetes then. Portability, we can say like ensure app behaviors the same way on every environment, but ensure efficient running deployment application in any environment in Kubernetes. So these all are the basic difference which is used for when to use Docker and when to use Kubernetes. So there are multiple interview questions they will ask why we are using Docker, what is Docker and what is Kubernetes. So Docker is a container runtime and Kubernetes is a platform for running and managing the container. So this is the main difference. And coming for the primary function, scaling, networking, storage, fault tolerance, user interface, use cases and portability, these all are the much difference in the Docker and Kubernetes. And the one notes is there like Docker and Kubernetes often work together, with Docker providing the container and Kubernetes managing them. Some of the project we will see like we are using both, either Docker and Kubernetes, both we are using. So Dockers and Kubernetes when we use can together. So Dockers mostly will be providing a container. For that purpose we are creating a Docker image, and after that we will provide a container. And Kubernetes, where there we are managing the containers, like we have created multiple microservices with multiple containers by using Docker's help. And then how you will manage this containers, so based on that we have a Kubernetes which will be good for managing and all. So because you have already seen multiple difference about primary, scaling, networking, the storage, fault tolerance, user interface, use case and portability. So if you compare these all, then Kubernetes we can use for the managing the container, and Docker will be used to create a Docker container or any containers for the microservices. So this is the basic difference which is used for the Docker and Kubernetes. If you'll tell any of the interviewer this much point questions to answers, then they will know about this Dockers and or Kubernetes. You are good in this field like this. Yeah, so thank you for this. You can go through this difference for the Docker and Kubernetes.